Hey everybody, it's Zach here coming at you for another weekly video. Now this week I got a confession to make. I have a really small shop. So this week I'm going to show you guys what all you can accomplish in pretty much a 2.5 car garage. So my shop here is 25 by 25 and there's about another 8 foot by 20 foot space on the other side of the wall here that I use for storage for my air compressor, my phase converter. I'll show you guys what I have back there. And then we'll kind of take a look at some of the machines and some of the other stuff I have in here. So that's what we're doing this week. So we'll start off with the toolbox behind me here. This is a US General box that I picked up at Harbor Freight. And I really like these boxes for what you pay for them. They're really a nice box. I have a computer up here on top that I'll use for looking at CAD. Of course, my Mothman poster that I got there at the Mothman Museum in West Virginia. I keep a lot of stuff for my fixture table here. These are like the little ball locks, the stops, and the angle plates, the pipe centering deals there, and then a special fixture that I made for one job that I really should throw in the scrap bin. Screwdrivers. I've started buying Tecton ones because my kids have run off with all my Craftsman stuff. Some sockets and things like that. I keep more of that stuff in one of my other boxes and just stuff like that. I'll keep some of my electrical stuff in here. I've got a Fluke meg ohm meter, a Fluke amp meter, an old machinist handbook from the 1930s, Fluke scope meter, some ammunition there. I don't know why that's in there. Oh, my Duresta razor blade deal there. Just, you know, miscellaneous junk like that. Keep some camera stuff in here just for the YouTubes. And that's about it for this one. Some, you know, extra spin tights, screwdrivers, stuff like that. If I was getting another one of these boxes, I would not get the side box here because this ends up just being a catch-all for all kinds of junk. Like this wire feeder doesn't live here. That stuff just kind of gets stuck there because it's a flat space. Recently, I put a TV out here just so I could, you know, check out YouTube. Oh, these Milwaukee cups are really awesome, by the way. Moving around here, some of my pack out stuff that's just laying there. This is a Kearney Tracker mill. I really like this guy. This is neat because it has the universal head. So this basically will rotate this way as well as this way. And then the table on it is a universal table. So it will pivot this way. So you can do all kinds of stuff with this. In addition to the head comes off here, parks over on this side of the machine, and you can do a traditional horizontal mill because the overarms will slide forward. So one of the bigger pieces is this Piranha Ironworker behind me here. I absolutely love this thing, and if you are starting a welding business, I would absolutely buy one of these guys much sooner. Back when I did a lot of handrails and staircases, this would have made me so much money just because of the speed at which it lets you do stuff. So you can shear angle iron in here, you can shear flat plate here, you've got a notcher on this end for doing, you know, coping, angle iron, or whatever you want. And then the other end here, this has a punch in it currently, but you can get a small press brake, just all kinds of stuff that fits in there and make custom stuff. This thing is just amazing. This is a 50-ton machine. I don't believe they make it anymore. I think now their smallest one is a 65-ton, but I got a screaming deal on this. Usually they are close to $10,000, and I got a really, really, really good deal on this guy. Is why I ended up buying it. Now I wish I'd have bought it a lot sooner. Let's see what else. Oh, we got my cold saw here. I think I did a video on this one a while ago. Making the jaws for it there. That I got from Fleece Engineering. If you're a big diesel person, Fleece Engineering is actually just down the road from me here. They used to use it for cutting the turbine wheels off of the turbine. The Inconel turbine wheels off of like a stainless steel shaft when they're rebuilding turbos. So they quit doing that, so I ended up buying it for, again, just like next to nothing. Normally I think those are like 12,000 bucks, and I think I gave like $600 for that thing. So I was pretty happy about it. Now I just need more room to use it. This big blue thing here, I had to buy for a job, and it is one of the Miller Fume extractors. And it does not really like living in a garage with an 8-foot ceiling. I had to buy that, like I said, for a job, and it just kind of lives in here. I really like having it, but again, it's like if it would be much, much more useful if I had more room, and it makes it really difficult to squeeze through here to get to anything else in the shop, like my bandsaw or my other lathe over here. So this has this other box here has mostly stuff for my lathe or my mills in it. A lot of tooling, taps, dies, stuff like that, end mills, just kind of stuff to support the machining out here. I've got a Miller Smart Feeder and a Field Pro here. These two work together. This is an Arc Reach compatible power source, and this will only run off of the Miller Arc Reach power source. It'll run off my Pipe Pro or runs off that. I should really do a separate video on those. Those are really an amazing pair. So you can run Pulse and RMD off of this box here, which is neat because you can just run it right off the back of a pickup truck and have, you know, Pulse spray or RMD, where you don't have to run a back purge when you're welding stainless steel pipe. It's a really cool process. I should do a separate video just on that one. So over here, this one is my Lodge & Shipley. It's a 16 or 18 by, I want to say 60 bed lathe, 10 horsepower, 350 RPM, just a hoss. I forget what this thing weighs. I want to say it's like 8,000 or 9,000 pounds. This doesn't get used all the time, but when you need it, and it's not the most accurate. You're within, you know, 3,000ths or so. There is some wear in the bed, but it's in pretty decent shape. My Hyde Mech bandsaw here. I bought this guy I bought this in 2020. I got sick of either using a cold chop saw or using this little rinky-dink, you know, mitering bandsaw I got at FabTech, which ended up just burning up and just kind of being a piece of junk. So I bought this guy, and I really like it. I just need more room to use it. One of my Pelican case toolboxes hanging out down there that I need to sell. My George Fisher pipe saw. This guy is awesome if you do sanitary work, because it cuts, it cuts stainless tubing like that to within about 3 or 4 thousandths of being square. So really a nice machine. Just workbench here. It's a Knack War wagon with a 1-inch thick aluminum top on it. Cast iron fixture plate there, and we'll start working our way back around to the other side of the shop here. Yeah, so as you can see, it's kind of tight through here. Argon bottle for purging. I always like to purge off of a separate bottle when I am welding sanitary if possible. A couple CO2 bottles that are just kind of hanging out down there. Coming over here, my other camera that I've been using for doing shop talk videos. We're just on the GoPro here. This is my Monarch 10EE. I got this from my buddy Mike. They were gonna get rid of it. And it has been a really, really awesome machine. This is not the tube driven one. This one has a DC generator in it, and you control the field, which controls the speed with this knob down here. Really, really a cool lathe. And it's got a DRO on it, which is pretty handy. Coming over here. Oh, I guess I totally missed the shaper. So I keep some electrical stuff in this box, and then some just random hardware. This was actually my first toolbox. I got this when I was about 15 or so, when I was going to A&P school. So I am an airplane mechanic. Well, I haven't actually mechanicked on an airplane in 20 years, but still have the license to do it. So yeah, anyway, yeah, aviation tires. This box is what I had when I was at A&P school. So it's seen some use. So I got my shaper over here. This is a 20-inch G&E. And as you can see, I don't use it a whole lot. It's kind of a cool machine, but it takes up a lot of real estate, and you don't end up using it a whole lot. Hiding back there, I got a chainsaw sharpener. Still 660, still 880 that I need to stick back out in the barn. I just had them in here because I was working on them. This keep end mills and, you know, stuff for some big face mills, stuff like that. Just, you know, fabrication stuff, and this stuff needs to get back out to the barn where I was using it. Just parts for my Graco. There's some stuff that needs to get delivered on top of the freezer there. Fluke scope meter and, you know, more pack out stuff. My other box over here, this is kind of my main toolbox. I got a pack out radio. Love this thing. It really cranks. It really, you know, makes the, you know, really puts out some sound. What all I keep in this guy here is A lot of batteries. And a lot of just Milwaukee stuff that lives here in the shop that gets used. Tecton tools. I love me some Tecton tools. If you've never used them, they're great. They're really, really inexpensive compared to Snap-on, and the quality is pretty comparable. And yeah, like I said, I have just a few of them. And not too many shops will have some of these. I have a couple, actually 3 Geiger counters. I bought initially this one because my wife was asking if we could measure something that was radioactive, and I was like, oh, I don't have a Geiger counter. And so then I was like, I don't have a Geiger counter. I don't have a tool. Okay, well, I'll have to remedy that. So that's a 1960s Victor Crane that I got off eBay, and ended up having to go through and put a bunch of new electronic components in it. Anyway, yeah, so now I have that one, and then I got big into, there's this stuff called Vaseline glass or uranium glass, which is really neat. And so it's glass that they used up until fairly recently in a lot of stuff, and it has 20%, up to 20% uranium in the glass, and it's actually fairly radioactive. And so then I kind of went down this whole rabbit hole of, you know, that's neat. I'm going to learn everything I can about that. And so anyway, I'll show you guys one of these here and show you guys. So this is a Ludlam Geiger counter here, and so you can hear them. So I also got a few other sources off eBay. You hear that? It's kind of hot, so I keep it in a metal toolbox here, and then I have another source that I won't say where it came from, and it's really, really, really hot, and it hangs out in that metal source or metal box there. That's Calco uranite, anyway, just kind of neat. I'm a bit of a nerd. One of these days I will build a fusion reactor, and so that's why I bought the Geiger counters there. Mainly was because I have plans for building a fusion reactor. So anyway, tools and stuff go in this one. A few Milwaukee tools laying around. I have shelving up here with a whole bunch of TIG filler, just other miscellaneous stuff. My other Bridgeport mill over here in the corner. Belt grinder here, absolutely love that. Oh, a Vega duplicator. I need to sell this guy if anybody is interested. Part positioner here. I'd set up to where I just have a foot pedal on the floor. I guess it's shoved under the table there. But you hit the foot pedal and it rotates. This big fixture plate here I got for a job a while ago to just clamp stuff down to good and solid. I need to go through and clean up some other V-blocks and stuff like that. Microphone for, obviously you'll probably recognize this area from where I was doing my shop talk videos. And then the welding section over here. So starting off, I've got a Miller Dynasty 210. This used to, or excuse me, not this is a Dynasty. This is a Maxstar 210. So this is basically the same machine as this. You just don't have the AC function on this machine like you do on this one. This one used to live at a plant, and I haven't really been doing a whole lot of work there, so I brought it back, and I probably should go ahead and sell it because I'm not really using it a whole lot. I've got a Miller gas mixer that pretty much lives on that setup over there. If you've never seen one of these, they're really neat. You hook it up to an argon bottle and you hook it up to a CO2 bottle, and then you can just dial. Say if you want to run spray pulse, you can dial it down to about 2 to 3% or CO2 in your argon, or if you just want to run standard 75-25, you can dial it up to 75 and then you get your 25. So it's a really neat setup. For me, it was more about not having to carry extra bottles because I do such a wide variety of work. It's nice where I can just have a CO2 bottle on the truck, an argon bottle on the truck, and I can do whatever I need off of those 2 bottles and not have to go ahead and, you know, carry a bunch of extra bottles. I've got a Fluke thermal camera that I had to buy for a job that I probably should also sell. Wire feeder here. This is neat. It's a cold wire feeder that you run with TIG. I will use it occasionally. I don't know that I would get another one of those. I bought it for one job, and then now I kind of regret not necessarily regret having it, but it's not as useful. If you do a lot of production work, it'd be great, but for what I'm doing, it's not as useful. I've got a Miller Dynasty 210 here and a water cooler below it there. And then I have like the big dog, Dynasty 400. Yeah, right there. So that's a 425 amp AC/DC TIG welder. This is awesome. You can basically weld anything you want with it. Yeah, it's about, aside from the Dynasty 800, it's about the biggest, nicest TIG welder you can buy. So this thing's really nice. This one I have because it's portable. I bought this for one job, and basically like I built the price of the welder into the job, and I was like, well, if they go for it, cool, and I'll get a new welder out of it. If they don't, cool. So they ended up going for it. So I bought the machine, and it's not something that I would necessarily recommend buying, but if you have it, like, it's kind of nice to have around. The 210 here is honestly probably more in line with the type of work I do, and I could probably just have nothing but this 210 and just be fine. I keep it around mainly just because I do a lot of mobile work, and this is nice because I can throw it in the back seat of the truck and run it off 110 or 220, and I can also run it off of my Miller engine drive, like my Pipe Pro or Pro 400. And then I've got a Multimatic sitting down here. And then this is just kind of the junk room over here, some 5C collets, extra wire and rods that have been sitting around left over from a job. And I always keep a bottle of helium, because if you're welding aluminum, it's nice to have around. DeWalt gang charger that I need to sell because I don't ever use DeWalt stuff anymore. And there's all kinds of fire helmet and just all kinds of random stuff. My Bridgeport here that I redid a couple years ago. This one's neat because I put a VFD on it where I can just control the speed of this 5-horse motor up here with the little knob there, and I just have forward, reverse. I need to put a DRO on it, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And just a bunch of junk laying around that I need to deal with. I took my torch off the truck because I almost never use it, other than, you know, very specific jobs. Some welding rods down there that need to get dealt with and moved somewhere else. I keep some extra bar stock and stuff like that because it's not unusual for a place to call and be like, hey, we need a widget, and then, you know, they need it the next morning or later that night, so I have to make it that evening or the next morning. So that's why I have I keep a bunch of stuff like that around. Oh, I can show you my phase converter setup. We'll go do that. So I have an American Rotary 10-horse phase converter here. So this runs off of a 60 amp breaker. So you just hit that, and now I have 3-phase going to my second idler motor. Now the motor I got that runs with this is a 10-horse Baldor. However, I don't get that balanced to 3-phase. So you get 2 phases in and then 3 phases out. You have a generated leg, and then my generated leg out of this setup was kind of high. I think it was like 280 volts rather than 240 volts. So I wired in a second 7.5 horsepower idler motor here when I hit that, and that really evened it out to where I was within about 5 volts of each leg. And so I have this stuff, and then I have my cutout here, which then that energizes everything else here. And then I put a second disconnect here for the VFD on that lathe over there because it has a really loud fan in it, and I don't like to have to listen to it run. So that's why I have it like that. I really should put some mag switches on this, but it works for the time being, and, you know, hopefully I won't be in here that much longer as my main shop. And I'm gonna take you guys over here and show you my air compressor. So this is a really cool machine. I got this from a buddy of mine, and I've not even had a chance to plug it in. It is a slot mortiser that I got from my buddy Tab. Shout out Tab there. I've got a Blum hinge machine in here that I just bought and haven't really dealt with. So here's my idler motors for the phase converter there. Little Makita air compressor, HVLP sprayer, and then I've got a Quincy 5-horse 80-gallon compressor. Wish I'd have gotten the pressure lubed version, but I bought this in late 20, and you could not get basically any of these without waiting for months. So I ended up buying this one just because I happened to find it at Tractor Supply, and they had it, and I threw it on the truck and took it home with me. So that's pretty much all I keep in here, just junk that I really need to go through and clean out. So yeah, here you go. A whole lot of what my buddy say, like, you know, before you had somebody come out here for me to do some work, it's like you got a lot of stuff in a little space. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of stuff in a little space. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I hope it inspires you to not be too cautious of just using a two-car garage for your business workshop, because like I've done a lot of big projects out of here, and I'll just do it in assemblies here, take it outside, even if I have to do it out in the driveway and just put up a canopy or something like that. You just figure out a way to get it done. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Hope you guys got something out of it. If you are so inclined, please check out down below, and I'll leave some links to the tools and stuff that I really use and like, and also my Patreon. So I'm Zach. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.